Good morning, everybody, and I am Ross Allen Skorzewski. This is another edition, session, or episode of the Wednesday Morning Cup of Crazy with me, and I'm so excited to be able to be back in the studio. Sorry for my departure last week. Wasn't feeling good at all and was not able to make it into the studio to do a quick hit with all of you that join me on Wednesday mornings. And if my voice is a little scratchy, I'm dealing with these lovely seasonal allergies up here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The mold count is high, and therefore it's in the eyes, it's in the throat. But hey, it's a beautiful thing. I'm here. I get to spend these next possible 10 minutes or so with you, encouraging you along the paths of personal growth and development, because every one of us is on that path, whether we believe so or not, whether we're intentional with it or not. Some people are growing and some people aren't growing. So personal growth development, whether you've stunted it or you're stagnant or you're pursuing it with absolute intentionality and vigor. So with that, let's do what we normally do every Wednesday morning, and that is take a quick sip of coffee. Hopefully it's organic, and let us partake together, shall we? And then we shall begin. Absolutely, it's a beautiful thing. I could end right there. But let's do this. I want to talk to you today. This morning, I was listening to some 80s music. We have it's probably early 90s. I'd have to actually check the date. But we've got Traverse City, Michigan coming up. It's the largest training event for the Wellness Way, where all of the doctors and all the staff converge into one location. And we spend 2 days intentionally training on personal growth and development, and as well as clinical. So as I was saying, at the end of it, though, we have this huge party where everybody gets together and we bring in a DJ. And this year's theme is 80s. And I was listening to Michael Jackson. And how can you not listen to Michael Jackson when it comes to the 80s, right? It's a beautiful thing. But the one song that came in that really stirred my thoughts, and even after an amazing training that we had yesterday with Dr. Greg Abbott, when he did our Rise and Grind for the whole staff, not just Green Bay, but all of our locations, he had some words to share with us that were very insightful, but yet at the same time, very difficult to hear. And if you know this song that was mentioned in the title of today's episode, Man in the Mirror, it starts off, I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. And then he goes on, it's gonna feel real good. And I'm thinking to myself, hold up here. I don't know what personal growth and development track that he was on. I get the nicety, I get the beautiful lyrical composition there that gets us inspired to start with the Man in the Mirror. But how many of you watching with me now, or those of you who will join up later, know that personal growth and development doesn't always feel good, right? And listen, he goes, it's gonna make a difference, right? We gotta make it right. I'm starting with the Man in the Mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. Take a look at yourself and then make a change. You know, when you looked at yourself even this morning, as I did, what were your thoughts? Are you happy with where you're at? Are you happy with the role that you play, whether it's possibly husband, wife, father, mother, employer, employee, friend? Where are you at with your thoughts about your current existence? And that was a beautiful thing that we had yesterday with Dr. Greg Abbott, is he really challenged us to look at things from a really different perspective. And one of the things that I want to bring up here real quick is this idea of personal growth and development feeling good is just part of the equation, but it's not always the case. The reality is, if I look at my life when it comes to personal growth and development, there are so many areas that really come down to self-reflection, something that we talk a great deal about here at the Wellness Way. Self-reflection. Why? Because there's a lot of potential, and maybe I shouldn't even say a lot, maybe you shouldn't say a lot when it comes to your perception of yourself either, but of just negative behavioral patterns, mindsets, the way that we talk about ourselves. You know, we're quick to give praise, we're quick to come alongside other people, we're quick to give of ourselves, but when it comes to really taking care of ourselves and being intentional with the number one question out of the three that we have here at the Wellness Way. What are you doing to develop yourself? We have good intention, but we just lack on follow through and intentionality, which leads to the idea of what is it that you potentially do on a day-to-day basis to self-sabotage your intent for personal growth. And I believe that every single day that there is an opportunity for us to embrace a positive mindset about ourselves, or to get stuck in a rut and go and regurgitate and rehearse negativity. Listen to this. Self-sabotage is this: behavior that is said to be self-sabotaging when it creates problems and interferes with long-standing goals. How is it that you find yourself on a day-to-day basis, based on the external environment that has all these stressors that come in to distract you, to tell you a different message about yourself, or people that speak negatively about you? How do you find yourself potentially self-sabotaging your pursuit of personal growth and development? That's a question for you. I think you should be able to answer that. Well, I don't know if I'm going to like the answer. Well, that's part of the problem. Sometimes some of the greatest strides that we make in personal growth and development is really getting down to, it's like the Wellness Way. We don't just treat the symptom, we go upstream to find out the causal factors so that we can get to the root issue and deal with it there. Personal growth and development is no different. When it comes to self-sabotage and our ability to make it from day to day to day without being our own hurdle, obstacle, or saboteur, what is it? Do you embrace negative messaging that has been spoken over you? Do you rehearse something that someone else said over you that was very hurtful and damaging? Are you harboring unforgiveness? What is it that you are doing? And if you can answer that, hone in on it, get upstream, get to that epicenter of why, and then begin to, as that song, let it go, right? And begin to be intentional. Well, but I don't feel like I can do that. We've talked about this many times. I believe that, yes, feelings, emotions, God-given, wonderful aspects of who we are, but we give them way too much credit. We give them way too much power in our day-to-day lives. The ability to make decisions based on our emotions, the ability to harbor unforgiveness based on our emotions because someone hurt us so bad and I just feel. We've said it over and over and over. I've got spit flying. Did you see that? I feel like a preacher. Don't be standing in this front row. The idea that, this feelings, we've always said, don't do what feels right, just do what is right. Well, it's not easy. Well, I know, apparently Michael Jackson, he says, it's gonna feel real good, it's gonna make a difference, right? Because we're gonna make it right. But it doesn't always feel good. And that's okay. Once again, as parents, as employers, when we bring correction that leads to direction, it leads to a place where we have to, like I've said, we have to reflect. We have to go inward and self-reflect, find where it is that we have the hang up, deal with it, take ownership of it, become responsible, and then move forward with the best intent of trying not to repeat the cycle of crazy. Well, I'm trying. And I believe, hey, even for me, there are areas that I'm still working on at 43 years old, going to be 44 soon, that where I believe that, as I've even encouraged and coached others to say, well, you're trying. Okay, well, but where's the fruit of your trying? Remember a couple episodes ago, we talked about there is no try, there's only do, because trying is just an experiment that leads you to determine whether this is something worth pursuing or not, doing or not. Doing is what leads us to consistency, to getting results, or seeing fruit in that area of personal growth and development. And I believe that there are a lot of people out there that say that they're trying, but they're not. They just have a willful pursuit of continuing to repeat negative behavioral patterns without true change. They can talk about it, but they can't actually implement it. So with that, think about that today. Self-sabotage, okay? How is it that you're standing in your own way of really, as John Maxwell would say, break that lid on your potential to get to the next level? What is that method of kind of self-deconstruct mentally that prevents you from taking that next step forward, that causes you to just stop and say, well, but I don't know if I could do it, or, oh, they're right. And everybody else's thoughts and opinions about you matter more than what your own thoughts and opinions about yourself. Well, what happens if my own thoughts and opinions about myself are stinking thinking? Well, then start listening to the world around you, because I bet you at some point in time, there's the majority around you that think that you are an amazing individual. You just don't believe it yourself. So sure, yeah, we've got to start with the man, woman in the mirror. It starts with you. We've always been saying that. What are you doing to develop yourself? What are you doing to develop your family? And what are you doing to develop others around you? But it starts with you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick hit for this morning that I want to challenge all of us, even myself, because like you said, Dr. Greg Abbott, it challenged me yesterday in our Rise and Grind session when he mentioned that word self-sabotage. It rang true right through to the very heart of who I am as an individual. And we all went around at the end of it. And I even looked at him and I said, Dr. Greg, I don't like you. I didn't like your session. Why? Because it pointed out an area in me that I know that I'm guilty of as well, but need to keep continuing to pursue change, not excellence, because I don't know if excellence is ever attained. Let's just move towards change that leads to more change, and the better representation of who we are reveals itself every day. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again for diving into this episode with me. Why don't you, as Michael Jackson would say, make that change.